The world of Pokemon is usually inhabited by creatures of this life, but today on PokéClash we're taking a stroll into the realm of resurrection. It's the prehistoric brutes versus the posthumous spooks, a battle of the undead right now on PokéClash. Hello and welcome to PokéClash, the show where we take pride in unnecessarily overanalyzing a game with living ice cream and $350 lemonade. Today, it's fossils versus ghosts. These two groups of Pokemon have been around since the first generation, and both share a common theme of the present day being their second life. They're like the Walking Dead of Pokemon, just without the blood, the rednecks, or the obnoxious cliffhangers every other second. But when you pit the two against each other, which group will get to live on, and which group will get to experience extinction for the second time? Let's find out. The rules of PokéClash are simple, but not very fun, so I'll try to go through them quickly. One competitor per team per generation. If a generation does not submit a proper candidate, that generation will be exempted. For example, since no new fossil Pokemon were introduced in Generation 2, Johto will not be represented in today's clash. The winner in each generation wins a point for their team, and the team with the most points overall wins. When it comes to selecting those competitors though, there are some exclusions. Firstly, no Pokemon that are not fully evolved will be considered. For example, in today's clash, neither Dusclops nor Misdreavus will be able to compete, even though their evolutions weren't introduced until Generation 4. Also, if two fully evolved Pokemon from the same line would represent different generations, such as Gardevoir and Gallade, then they will be both eligible to compete. And finally, to prevent unfairness, no legendary Pokemon and no Mega Evolutions. I sincerely apologize for having to include that last rule, but it really wouldn't be fair to put up one of these for one side and not the other. So now that we have all the rules settled, it's time to get this thing started. Let the ultimate battle of fossils versus ghosts begin! Kabutops, the shellfish Pokemon, was one of the fastest swimmers and fiercest hunters of its time. With scythe-like arms, an aerodynamic shape, and a ruthless killer instinct, it was the terror of the seas. Now, tens of thousands of years later, thanks to advances in technology, we can revive this beast from a humble dome fossil and unleash it onto the battlefield. Kabutops is a physical aggressor with good attack, defense, and speed. He's typically used as a physical sweeper. Popular movesets include Swords Dance, Rapid Spin for entry hazards, and Aqua Jet, Stone Edge, and Waterfall for damaging. It can also learn Stealth Rock to set up entry hazards, as well as X-Scissor and Superpower for type coverage. To be the most effective sweeper, it can also use Rock Polish or either of its abilities Swift Swim and Weak Armor to up its speed. Kabutops' weakness comes from its moderately low special defense and severe allergy to grass types. A good physical wall can stall it well enough, and if it should come face to face with Focus Blast or Energy Ball, let's just say it won't be the only one in the room with a scythe. Even so, Kabutops is a force to be reckoned with and should not be taken lightly. Gengar, the Shadow Pokemon, is about as classic as a ghost Pokemon can get. Gengar are mischievous Pokemon who just love to scare people. They live in dark areas, waiting until nighttime to jump into and take control of people's shadows. From its huge wide grin to its glowing red eyes, it's no wonder why many fans consider it as the definitive ghost Pokemon. In battle, Gengar is a glass cannon with great special attack and speed balanced out by frail defenses. Gengar's bread and butter is the combo of Shadow Ball and Focus Blast, both highly powerful special attacks allowing at least neutral coverage of every type. For those two other slots, Gengar is often used with Disable sets thanks to his type immunities, Substitute sets, and Pain Split sets. However, if you want to spring a surprise on your opponent, Gengar can use Thunderbolt, Hidden Power, Counter, and Destiny Bond as just a few options. On the receiving end, Gengar's major weakness comes from its defenses. Any Pokemon that can survive a hit from Gengar or outspeed it can pick it off easily. Choice Scarf users are a common threat to Gengar, and Pursuit will easily trap Gengar into a no-win situation. Even so, Gengar has been a formidable foe since its creation, tearing up the OU tier 18 years and counting. Alright, now it's time to decide who wins this first round. The fans choose you, Gengar, by a vote of 67 to 33%. Chalk one up for the ghosts. Armaldo, the plate Pokemon, is the final form of the claw fossil found in Gen 3. It has evolved from Anorith and evolved from the sea, now making its primary home on dry land. Its armor plating is said to be able to withstand explosions, and its sharp claws are fully retractable like a cat's. And now it's time for fun facts about fossils. Did you know that Armaldo's Pokédex entries have only ever highlighted 3 specific abilities that it has? The Pokédex describes how Armaldo is a very strong swimmer, using its wings to push through the water. It is also strong enough to break large boulders, and its claws are sharp enough to punch through a steel slab. Keep in mind that these are the exact abilities that Game Freak has chosen to show off this Pokemon with, and yet for some reason, Armaldo's 3 type weaknesses are water, rock, and steel. Explain that one to me. But speaking of weaknesses, let's delve into battle capabilities. Armaldo has a very high attack and defense, balanced out by its mediocre speed. However, the ability Swift Swim can easily overcome this deficit. Because of this, Armaldo is most commonly used as a rapid spinner on rain teams. It's usually given Swords Dance to set up a sweep in the rain, and then moves like Stone Edge, X-Scissor, Rock Blast, Earthquake, and Aqua Tail for damage. It can also use a physical defense set or Stealth Rock, but it is a tad risky due to its typing. For counterplay, Armaldo has good enough defenses to withstand most hits that aren't super effective, so just try to get it out as quickly as possible before it can set up. Your best bet is to go with the Special Sweeper, preferably of the Water type for a super effective hit, or the Ghost type to counter Rapid Spin. Truly, Armaldo proves that sometimes the best offense is good defense. Banette, the marionette Pokemon, may at first appear to be your typical ghost Pokemon, but upon closer inspection, it has become one of the most disturbingly graphic Pokemon ever conceived. Banette as a race are possessions of children's dolls after they have been thrown away. Their life is driven by a powerful grudge, seeking to find their abandoning owners. Banette is quite literally a voodoo doll, and it spends its free time laying curses by sticking pins into itself. Damn, Game Freak! You're scary! In battle, Banette's best stat is by far its attack, with the rest of its stats being below average at best. Unfortunately, Banette's move pool doesn't really back up that attack stat very well, so instead most people use it as a Trick Room lead. Using Trick Room reverses the attacking order for every Pokemon, meaning that the Pokemon that normally has the slowest speed stat will actually move first. It's a great strategy if you want to focus on power and bulk over speed. Competitive players also like to give it Taunt, Shadow Claw, and Destiny Bond to do some more trickery if it stays out for a prolonged period of time. There are plenty of more options such as Curse, Shadow Sneak, Trick, and Rain Dance, but the competitive scene mostly sticks to the former strategy as the others are a bit risky. However, Banette is not infallible. Its mediocre defenses ensure that almost any attack can take it out in 2 solid hits, excluding immunities of course. Taunt prevents it from setting up Trick Room, effectively crippling your entire team if you were counting on it. Even though it's a bit of a one-trick pony in battle, Banette has gained a great reputation for its creepy design and voodoo inspiration. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to go give my teddy bear a hug. Alright, it's about that time again to see who takes this round. The people choose you, Armaldo, with a vote of 62 to 38%. That ties it up 1-1 as we head into our 3rd round. Rampardos, the headbutt Pokemon, is the definition of a heavy hitter. It may not be the most strategic or quick, but its weapon is one of the most fearsome. You know how some people just have a thick skull? Well, this is one dino who figured out how to use that to his advantage. By charging head first, Rampardos uses its own skull as a battering ram, able to knock down trees, rocks, and even small buildings with a single powerful slam. In fact, Rampardos have trained themselves in doing this so much that it doesn't even hurt them. In fact, they're said to enjoy bashing their head against a wall to test their strength. So, pro tip, never challenge a Rampardos to a sumo match. In battle, Rampardos behaves just like you would expect him to. Rampardos is a physical beast, with a base attack stat of 165. To put that number in perspective, that is the 2nd highest attack stat in the history of Pokemon, and is only surpassed by Attack Form Deoxys. That is insane! Couple that with an item like a Choice Band and add in Head Smash, which has 150 base power and stab, and you essentially have a mini nuke ready to dish out at any time without even having to set up. It's crazy. However, everything else about him is what drags him down to the NU and RU tiers. While direct counters for Rampardos are very few, any Pokemon that can outspeed, use a priority move, or manage to wall a single hit can make quick work of him. And even if your opponent somehow can't accomplish this, Rampardos usually takes itself out in just a few turns anyway due to recoil from Head Smash! In summary, Rampardos is a high-risk, high-reward Pokemon with a seriously satisfying battle style. It may not be the smartest way to play, but just the sight of that skull will make any opponent shake in their boots. Froslass, the Snowland Pokemon, is one of those Pokemon that is more than may initially meet the eye. At first it appears harmless enough, especially for a ghost type, but a bit more research reveals a strange and very creepy demeanor. They are able to manipulate reality and can create small illusions to trick people, such as the tale of one Froslass who created the illusion of a mountainside inn in order to lure weary travelers into her trap. Creepy! And oh yeah, they make ice sculpture collections.
Out of the helpless victims!
Why did I think starting with ghosts would be a good idea again? On the battlefield, Froslass shoots way up to the OU and even Uber tier thanks to its deviously sweet move pool. Froslass's stats are pretty mediocre overall, but its speed makes it among the fastest in the tier. Its move pool backs up that speed stat to make it do its job as a trap setter extraordinarily well, which now that I think about it, fits into its design perfectly. Froslass is the only Ghost-type Pokemon with access to spikes, meaning that it is the only Pokemon that can set them up as much as it wants without having to worry about Rapid Spin. Froslass is typically filled out with Ice Beam and Shadow Ball for stab attacks, and of course we can't forget the tried and true combo of a Focus Sash and Destiny Bond. With the ability Cursed Body, any move that hits Froslass will be disabled 30% of the time. On the flip side, Frailty, thy name is Froslass! Any decently powerful move can take it out in one hit. This is helped by a Focus Sash, but it doesn't help the fact that Froslass usually only gets a few turns in battle before it's knocked out. Despite that weakness, Froslass is a lady you don't want to mess with. Get in her way, and she might just add you to her collection. This clash was the closest of all, with the end result coming down to just a few votes on either side. But after it all, the people choose you, Rampardos, by a vote of 53 to 47%. That puts Fossils out into the lead, 2-1 with 2 to go. Carracosta, the proto-turtle Pokemon, gives whole new meaning to the term snapper. Its two greatest assets are its thick, hardened shell and powerful, gripping beak. The beak alone is strong enough to tear out a hole in the bottom of a tanker, and Carracosta is said to eat steel and rocks as part of its regular diet. What nutritional value that offers, I have no idea. On the battlefield, Carracosta uses its mighty attack and defense to its fullest advantage at the cost of quite a bit of speed. Its best moves are Rock Slide and Waterfall for stab, Ice Beam for type coverage, and Aqua Jet for priority's sake. Also, Carracosta does have access to Shell Smash, a move which increases attack, special attack, and speed, but decreases both defense stats. It makes Carracosta a bit less survivable, but in return it becomes a monstrous powerhouse. It can also use Stealth Rock or Toxic for a bit more supportive moveset, as well as some options like Aqua Tail, Rocks Polish, and Knockoff for a bit more variety. Things to watch out for when using Carracosta are primarily special sweepers, especially after using Shell Smash. Carracosta's biggest threats are grass types, and while Ice Beam and Solid Rock can help, it can only do so much. Overall, the best way to get rid of a Carracosta is to whittle it down as quickly as possible, because even with its good defenses, it can't survive forever against an onslaught of attacks. Coming away from that though, Carracosta is proof, in the Pokemon world at least, that slow and steady kills the fire type. Speaking of fire types, Chandelure, the luring Pokemon, is one of the most deceptive Pokemon out there. While the idea of it being a possessed ornament may turn some people away at first, a closer look reveals something brilliant. And now it's time for Great Gossips About Ghosts. Yeah, that totally wasn't forced. You think making a Pokemon out of a household decoration is a stupid concept? Well, it is a little bit, but Game Freak made sure to tie everything about its design into a very spooky idea. As the story goes, Chandelure hypnotizes its victims by waving its beautiful flames. The flames then absorb the spirit of the person, leaving the body behind while the spirit burns for all eternity. Well, at least now we know where Nicolas Cage got his inspiration. In battle, Chandelure's saving grace is its special attack stat at 145 base power. The best way to unleash that power is with Fire Blast and Shadow Ball, both great stab options. From there, other attacking options include Energy Ball or Solar Beam in the Sun, Hidden Power Fighting for coverage, and Overheat for more firepower at the cost of having to switch out quickly. Also, the ability Flash Fire boosts the power of Chandelure's Fire-type moves by 50% whenever it's hit by a Fire-type move itself. Simply switch in on one and you're golden. While Chandelure's offensive output is great, its defenses and speed leave a lot to be desired, especially when concerning its type. With weaknesses to 5 types, Chandelure is very easy to KO should the opponent be able to get an attack off. Also, even if it holds an item like a Choice Scarf, it is outsped by a large faction of the Pokemon it will go up against, and that advantage can be key in taking it down. Even still, Chandelure is one of the more common Pokemon to see in the metagame, and for good reason, so always remember to never go towards that light. It just might get you back. Alright, the combatants are set. Let's end this debate once— Wait, that's the wrong show. The people choose you, Chandelure, by a vote of 63 to 37%. That means it's all tied up 2-2 as we enter the final round. Alright, Kalos, hit me with your best shot. Tyrantrum, the Despot Pokemon, was in its prime the most frightening creature to walk the face of the planet. Its ferocious nature, massive size, and nearly indestructible teeth easily brought it to the top of the food chain, even exhibiting what might be considered kingly behavior. In battle, Tyrantrum is all about the physical, with plenty of attack and defense. He uses that attack prowess to bust out the hurt with moves like Head Smash, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Draco Meteor, and Crunch. He also has access to Dragon Dance, Rock Polish, and Hone Claws for all your setup needs. He has 2 potential abilities, Strong Jaw, which ups the power of biting moves by 50%, and Rock Head, which negates recoil damage. Unfortunately, Strong Jaw is relatively useless, seeing how none of the available biting moves get stab bonus, and Tyrantrum has other more powerful options at its disposal. Rock Head, on the other hand, allows it to unleash Head Smash without fear, and has now become the preferred strategy. Tyrantrum's biggest shortcoming is its type of Rock Dragon. While giving it a lot of good offensive options, its defenses take a big hit, being weak to 6 types. Look out for Ice and Fairy in particular, as its special defense doesn't do it any favors either. Anyway, Tyrantrum's offense is still enough to strike fear into the heart of an opponent. Truly, Tyrantrum is among the elite. Did you see what I did there? Aegislash, the Royal Sword Pokemon, is a symbol of regality and leadership in the Pokemon world. It is said to be able to detect qualities of leadership in people, and that those who it selects are destined to be rulers. As such, Aegislash have served kings for many generations. In battle, Aegislash is a bit of an odd duck, but strangeness works to its advantage. It is the only Pokemon with the ability Stance Change, which makes it change forms depending on what move it uses. Blade Form is activated whenever the player uses an attacking move, and features outrageous physical and special attack stats. Shield Form is activated when it is first sent out, and when it uses its signature move King's Shield. This form features equally outrageous defenses. This unique ability makes using Aegislash quickly turn into a battle of wits. Knowing when to strike and when to retreat makes all the difference. Your best attacking options are going to be Shadow Ball, Iron Head, Flash Cannon, and Sacred Sword. Also, Shadow Sneak can make up for its moderate speed. You can teach it Autotomize and Sword Stance to set up, and make sure you always have King's Shield on hand. It essentially has the same properties as Protect, but if your opponent makes contact with Aegislash with the shield up, their attack stat will drop harshly, forcing the opponent to always tread carefully against an Aegislash. However, it does have its weaknesses. Anything specially based has nothing to fear from King's Shield, and neither do Pokemon that don't need to make contact. Also, while switching between forms can create a lot of problems for your opponent, it can potentially create just as many problems for you. Switching to Blade Form at the wrong time leaves it wide open for a one-hit KO, and reverting to shield form can create a false sense of security, as certain Pokemon can still take out shield form in as little as 2 hits. Still, Aegislash is one Pokemon to be both feared and revered. No wonder it's so adept at recognizing the elite. Okay, now I'm not even trying. Alright, it all comes down to this. Who will claim this final point and bring victory home for their proud team? Well, the people have voted, and the people choose you, Aegislash, by a vote of 66 to 34%. That means that with a final score of 3-2, the Ghost Pokemon win the day. Congratulations! You get $3,800 for winning! Now go stock up on Ultra Balls to help catch that elusive Abra. And be sure to join us next time on PokéClash, where everyone's a winner with the proper EV training. Thanks for watching.
And that about does it for the very first episode of PokéClash. Thank you all so incredibly much for your support and for your patience. I know it's been a bit of a long trek, but we finally got here and there's plenty more in store. As for the next clash, we're doing something a tad different. Rather than going group versus group like we did today, we're gonna take mano-a-mano between the two fiery foxes of Pokemon. Kanto versus Kalos, Ninetales versus Delphox. That's right, it's Kanto's Killer Kitsune versus Kalos' Murderous Mage in a clash for the ages. Down in the description below, you will find a link to a voting page. Go to it, vote for your favorite, and maybe they will win, or maybe they won't. That's kind of how this voting thing works. Also, if you liked this video, you can click on Bulbasaur over here. He'll take you to my channel page where you can view some of my other clashes. As soon as I make them, that is. Also, be sure to share this video around with other Pokemaniacs like yourselves, because with my kind of voting system, the more people I can get behind me, the better credibility my results will have. Anyway, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. I wonder if these things still work. Oh, that's still fun after all these years.